Good morning, happy Friday, and happy day before St. Patrick's Day. Weekend, that is. St. Patrick's Day is actually going to be on Sunday. Although, it is March 15th, so, as William Shakespeare originally wrote, beware the Ides of March. Yes, it's, for those of you who don't know, in the Shakespearean novel, The Tragedy of Julius Caesar, the play, The Tragedy of Julius Caesar, and presumably what really happened to Julius Caesar himself in real life, the day that he died was March 15th, which is today, and on his way, because what happened to Julius Caesar was he was heading to a meeting with sort of like his council, like his inner circle, and they were planning to execute him. On the way to that meeting, though, I believe a soothsayer or fortune teller, walks up to him and says, beware the Ides of March, as like a warning that he was going to die. And he died. So, yes, a little bit of a Shakespearean history lesson for you. And a little bit of things of Shakespeare. And whether the play actually got this part right, I don't know. But if you ever heard the term et tu, Brute, Brutus was actually Julius Caesar's best friend, and he was the one who landed the killing blow on Julius Caesar. For those of you wondering, Julius Caesar's council just, stabbed him to death, repeatedly. It was actually pretty gruesome. But hey, if it were not for Julius Caesar, we wouldn't have the month of July. Oh yeah, originally we only had 10 months in the year, but thanks to Julius Caesar and Caesar Augustus, we have July and August now. Yeah, pretty cool, huh? Most people tend to forget that. Let's get to my low behind act of kindness. My low is, my grandmother is still sick, but she's still doing a lot better. Low is better. It turns out that, I don't know if I mentioned this already, but it turns out that she has pneumonia. But she's on the mend, she's doing a lot better. I hope I see her today, that'd be really cool. My high is, over this last week, I've stopped at a few different places that I do plan on adding to the cutler list. And I'll be posting them soon, as we just gotta get everything ready to go. And my act of kindness was I helped my mom out a little bit with the laundry yesterday, because she can only do so much with one arm, so I had to help her out a little bit. So, let's talk about this week's episode of Hot Ones, because Zayn Malik, another One Direction member, and apparently, from what I hear from this episode, he is very private, and he doesn't really do any interviews, doesn't really do much, so a lot of people are really anticipating his 4th studio album. And in preparation for that, obviously you have this Hot Ones episode. So, first question Sean asked him, how is being in a retreat on a farm in Penier shaped his sound? Because he's he owns some farmland in Pennsylvania. And basically, this is an answer even I could have answered. But this is a question even I could have answered. But life in general influences the writing process. You go through things in life and it gives you stuff to talk about. And for Zayn, being in Pennsylvania, on a farm, it was very quiet. And I can see why. Being on a farm, peaceful, quiet, you and whatever animals you're sort of tending to. So that's really cool. The impact that poetry has on the final product of a song. you can read and hear poetry and, make the melody and sound based on what's given. And good poetry should be able to tell a story and get a point across, much like a song does. So that's really cool. Learning a lot about the writing process. He finds gardening very rewarding, and his greatest gardening achievement. He's on a farm. Why not garden? Grow fruits and vegetables. And he grew 40-pound watermelons. 40-pound watermelons. Bro, how? And that's not even the funny part. The funny part comes from his favorite plant to grow. He grows chilies. Just like making hot sauce. Really? Don't get me wrong. Chilies are fruits, and like any other fruit and vegetable, you can grow and eat it. But he's actually making Scotch bonnets. That's like one of the hottest peppers there is. I think the Trinidad Scorpion and, I know he's actually growing Carolina Reapers too. He's growing Carolina Reapers. Bro. He doesn't eat them, obviously. Although, if I were to actually, because if I ever had a garden, I'm sure there'd be some things I'd love to grow myself. I'd probably grow some, onions. I love onions. I'd probably grow peppers too. I don't know if I'd grow straight chilies, but I'd probably grow, bell peppers. That'd be really cool. I'd probably grow carrots. I love carrots. Potatoes, I'd probably grow potatoes too. I grow a lot of stuff. I need that internet money to get a house and a garden. That's what I need. Okay. He talked about the greatest lengths he's had to go through to find inspiration for a song. And again, it's funny. These are all very good questions that Sean's asking throughout the course of this episode. And yet, if I was ever asked those questions, I might have been able, these are questions that technically I could have answered, but, knowing that they're coming from an expert in the industry like Zane, it's, reassuring, it's very good. That's what Hot Ones does, Anyway, when it comes to finding inspiration, just let it come to you. Let the experiences you get from life experience to, shape what you do. He talked about his signature dish for making by himself is tandoori chicken, but for a crowd it's spaghetti bolognese. I don't think I ever personally got out of my way to find spaghetti bolognese. I'll do that at some point. He talked about if there was anything behind the Nobody's Listening album that led to the Calamity comic, and honestly, Zane just loves comic books. Not complaining, I like comic books too. Pretty sure a lot of people do. The backstory behind the Iron Man comic signed by Stan Lee. The Iron Man comic signed by Stan Lee. Sorry, I'm trying to hold back a yawn. It was given to him by Morgan Spurlock, who during the One Direction movie, and everybody else is jealous because they didn't get as cool gifts as an Iron Man comic signed by Stan Lee. Zane even said himself, he's not going to part ways with that comic. For as long as he is alive, that comic is going to remain in his possession. And bro, that's how it should be. You give it to, that's an item you give your kids, your kids' kids, your kids' kids' kids. You do not let that out of your family's possession, ever. Like, ever. But that's just me. He talked about the worst technical difficulty while performing, and that sometimes the power goes out. And he talks about how, in terms of, like, major, like, technical problems, there was this one guy who was on stage with them, and he was standing next to, like, you know, a pyrotechnic, you know, the thing that shoots fire. And Zayn had to shove him out of the way before the fire, you know, like, started. And before the fire, you know, shot out of the cannon. So, yeah. Kids, remember, don't ever play with fire. Do not ever play with fire. Okay? Like, actually, you know what? Even if you're an adult, don't ever play with fire. Like, the people who work in, you know, pyrotechnics, they are professionals for a reason. And I guarantee you they've had their fair share of accidents. So, trust me. Like, honestly, I'm the kind of guy who's scared straight who, like, if it was fire anything, you stay away from it. I mean, don't get me wrong, I've lit fireworks before, and I've held sparklers, and I've lit matches before, so I've done that. But that's just how, like, dangerous fire can be sometimes. He talked about how, it depends on whether or not he bumps his, basically he listens to his own music. If he feels like it, he'll listen to it. If not, he'll listen to something else. He talked about his most treasured memory as a Bradford City FC fan, and he went to a game with his granddad, and there's one really great player that was playing there for free, and I did not know he collected samurai swords. I mean, he doesn't collect samurai swords anymore, but he actually still has 3 swords. I'm like, okay, I don't even know 1 sword. Like, bro. Who am I kidding? Even if I had a samurai sword, I wouldn't know what to do with it. I mean, I actually have always wanted to learn how to use a sword, though. That'd be really cool. He talked about the video game that most relates to youth in Yorkshire, where he grew up. Bro, Pokemon. That's like, I mean, listen. You're talking to like a Pokemon fan extraordinaire here. You know, if you promote Pokemon and Hot Ones, like, yeah. Okay, Zane, I see you. And now we get to the very end, the last dab. Actually, before I continue, the name of the Hot Ones video yesterday is very misleading because the title's like, Zayn Malik lets tears flow while dining on spicy wings. Dude, Zayn was like one of the most composed people ever. Like, yeah, the bomb got to him a little bit, but compared to most others, he got it. He handled himself very well. So, Zayn Malik, I salute you. Now then, obviously this whole episode was so that Zayn can promote his 4th studio album. Now, again, I mentioned earlier, and Sean asked this too, Zayn, very private person. Doesn't really do many interviews. So if he's out and about doing stuff like Hot Ones, it has to be because the 4th studio album is nearing completion. So for the final question, what can he tell us about the new album? And that it's a very different sound to anything that he's ever done before. It's very raw, as he says. He does hope that it resonates with people. And there's even an album name. It's called Room Under the Stats. Because he made the album in like a quiet cabinet-like room sort of place. So this was a very good episode of Hot Ones. You know, I learned a lot about, and you know, I'm glad it would have been. Here's the thing. I know I mentioned how Zayn was a member of One Direction. It would have been very easy for them to just simply talk about all the One Direction stuff, but they didn't do that. They pretty much kept it about as simple as you could want for, you know, a Hot Ones episode. And I like that. I mean, that'd be like me going on Hot Ones and all Sean would ever ask me is, you know, like me making all the videos I've ever done. Like, yeah, you could do that, but come on, you go to Hot Ones to learn more about the individual eating the wings. And I like to think I learned a lot. So, once again, to the good folks over at First Week Feast and Hot Ones, you guys nailed it. I thought it was a very fun episode, very eye-opening episode. I learned a lot. And I can't wait to see what happens next week. And before we get to next week, I get to this weekend, which St. Patrick's Day weekend. I'm going to be saying this a lot this weekend, but for tonight and tomorrow night, please be careful when you're out and about. Okay? It's St. Patrick's Day weekend. Don't do anything that could make it your last St. Patrick's Day weekend. Okay? Good. I hope you like this video. Like, subscribe to the YouTube channel, follow me on social media. As always, I'm very humble in this video for all of you guys watching. Enjoy for today. Hopefully you have a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful Friday. And remember, if you guys want to talk to me, always be here to let me know. Take care and make good choices. 607 all day, baby.